Hello everyone, my name is Clantis and welcome to my YouTube channel. So without further ado, let's get into today's video, which we are going to be talking about Dr. Nandipha Magudumana. Basically, she lodged a leave to appeal at the Bloemfontein High Court. Remember the last time she went to this very court and this very judge, Philip Lobster, she kind of like won, but at the same time lost. She lost her case on the basis of consent, that when she was picked up in Tanzania, got arrested, basically she consented to be brought back home because she wanted to reunite with her children. So now this appeal was based basically on this consent, and it was interpreted using different precedences that was to persuade the court to say it erred in its decision basically to deny Dr. Nandipha Magudumana what she was requesting for at the Bloemfontein High Court. Basically, she wanted the Bloemfontein High Court to declare her arrest in Tanzania as unlawful, wrongful, and that it was also a kidnapping, and that her extradition was not a deportation but extradition. And this very same court did agree with Dr. Nandipha Magudumana that extradition international laws were not followed. However, in its conclusion, it also said that Dr. Nandipha Magudumana did not protest her being taken from Tanzania to South Africa. Well, of course, the police, the Minister of Home Affairs, as well as MPA, they, of course, made submissions to the very same court, basically to answer to Dr. Nandipha Magudumana's application at the Bloemfontein High Court. And, of course, seemingly the Bloemfontein High Court Judge Lobster kind of like ruled in their favor, but it was on thin ice, or more like on a thread. And so Dr. Nandipha Magudumana decided that she is going to lodge a leave to appeal. Now, what is a leave to appeal? Because many people thought that Dr. Nandipha Magudumana was going to be appearing, her application today on the 14th of July was going to be heard at the Supreme Court of Appeal, but lo and behold, it is at the Bloemfontein High Court, the same court that ruled against her. So now, from what I understand, a leave to appeal is that you lodge a leave to appeal to the same judge that ruled against you by saying you erred in your judgment regarding this section of your judgment, or this section of my application. In Dr. Nandipha Magudumana's application, she was more on the fact that she was brought to South Africa unlawfully, and the court found that she did not protest her arrest in Tanzania. She basically consented because she wanted to see her children. So now she's gone back to the same judge and saying, no, you erred in that judgment by saying that, because now as the appeal papers are sitting before the judge and being argued by a brilliant advocate, I must say, you guys, Advocate Kessler Perulsami, I think that's how you pronounce it. That guy did an excellent job. If you asked me, is Dr. Nandipha Magudumana going to walk free? Not only is she going to walk free, Dr. Nandipha Magudumana's case is going to be withdrawn by this very judge. This judge is not going to waste the time of the Supreme Court of Appeal by granting leave to appeal. As a matter of fact, he is just going to say, listen, it looks like I did err in my judgment the previous time, and therefore I ruled that Dr. Nandipha Magudumana was brought to South Africa illegally because extradition processes were not followed. And yes, the word consent, under the precedences that were brought before the court by this excellent advocate, Kessler, the judge is going to rule in Dr. Nandipha Magudumana's favor, and not only say that she was brought to South Africa illegally, but the case must be withdrawn. All whatever she's accused of must be withdrawn, because at the end of the day, how do you bring somebody to South Africa illegally and then turn around and arrest her? Were you going to be able to arrest her without you bringing her to South Africa to begin with? No. That is why this court is going to say, because she's here in South Africa already and you brought her here to South Africa illegally, and now you're making it easier for the police to arrest her. No. The police, the Home Affairs, the MPA and everybody aired in their action by bringing Dr. Nandipha Magudumana to South Africa, and therefore all cases must be withdrawn against her. I'm not quite sure what new charges are going to be added onto Dr. Nandipha Magudumana that I knew, because once this case is withdrawn against Dr. Nandipha Magudumana, this case cannot be brought back because it will be double jeopardy. You cannot be prosecuted for the same crime that you were prosecuted for and you were not found anything about. Whether you were found guilty or you were not found guilty, you can't bring that case back again. This makes Dr. Nandipha Magudumana a free woman. I need to make this disclaimer, which I should have made earlier on, is that I don't think Dr. Nandipha Magudumana should be a free woman, because I believe she's a very danger to society. But let me tell you something, Dr. Nandipha Magudumana, as dangerous as she is, she's going to be walking amongst us as a free woman, and she's going to go back to doing whatever she was doing before she ran away to Tanzania, before all of this took place. But this time around, she's going to be cautious because she knows that all eyes will be on her. This time around, she's going to be smart. She's going to outsmart each and every one of us, because she's already shown her colors that she's a smart woman. This move that Dr. Nandipha Magudumana made is an excellent one, but scary at the same time, to think that she's going to be walking amongst us, the law-abiding citizen, and free. Now, what happens with Thabo Bester once this concludes? Now, I have an inkling feeling that Thabo Bester was like, honey, you go and make this application. Whatever outcomes that are going to result out of your application, then I will take the similar action. Now, you must remember that Thabo Bester is a convicted criminal. Now, I don't think many of you are going to like what I'm going to say, because Thabo Bester did escape from prison through all the stuff that we already know. Now, when he ran to South Africa and went to Tanzania and he was brought back to South Africa, also no extradition processes were followed. Now, exactly who did you bring back to South Africa? And if the court rules in favor of Dr. Nandipha Magudumana, how do you think it's going to rule in Thabo Bester's favor? Do read extradition processes. One of the things that you're going to see there is going to talk about either a convicted criminal that escaped from the country where they've been convicted, or an accused person who is still going through legal processes before they are found innocent or guilty. Now, Thabo Bester was a convicted criminal when he was arrested in Tanzania. So at the moment that he is a convicted criminal, an extradition process needs to kick in. But South Africa and Tanzania did not follow those processes. Instead, Home Affairs, together with South African police, chartered a private jet costing the taxpayer 1.4 million rand, and basically went and kidnapped both of them. Let's call it what it is at this point in time. They were kidnapped from Tanzania without extradition processes being followed. So, this is going to be, oh my goodness. Now, let's leave that part. I'm just in awe. Sorry, I'm in awe. Now, so there are two things that I picked up when I was watching the replay of the proceedings that took place at the Bloemfontein High Court. The first one was, let me just read it to you because I wrote notes. The state did not mention consent anywhere in the state's answering affidavit, particularly Home Affairs and the police. As a matter of fact, the police and Home Affairs have contradicting statements. The statement of Home Affairs is also contradicted by, I think, the commissioner as well as the secretary of the commission or something of that nature. And then you have, the police itself. And in their answering affidavit, they never mention anything about Dr. Nandipha Magudumana consenting to being sent back to South Africa when she was arrested in Tanzania in April. The second thing that I also picked up that I heard from that advocate, brilliant. That advocate is brilliant. I'm so sorry, brilliant. The second thing I also noted was, he said, you can't consent to unconstitutionality. You can't consent to an illegality. That's what he said. And it's true. So if Dr. Nandipha Magudumana is being picked up at Tanzania, and then she's like, okay, I see members of the police here, and I also see the members of the police here, that means this entire process is illegal. So whatever the police are going to do to me, I'm just going to keep quiet and let them in and take me wherever it is that they're taking me. But when I get to wherever I'm going to challenge them. And that's exactly what Dr. Nandipha Magudumana has done. She has challenged her being brought back to South Africa illegally. And she is saying, there is no way that I'm going to stand trial for whatever it is that you have accused me for when you acted unconstitutionally against my rights. The rights that she's talking about is the right to decide, where do I go from here if Tanzania has thrown me out? That right was taken away from her. And then this is exactly what she's fighting for. And as a result of that, she's going to gain her freedom because of this blunder that our government made when they went to bring back Dr. Nandipha Magudumana and Thabo Bester back to South Africa. And if this High Court does grant leave to appeal and this matter is heard at the Supreme Court of Appeal, I believe that the Supreme Court of Appeal is going to agree with the lower court in terms of extradition being not followed. And therefore, I don't think the Supreme Court of Appeal will want its time to be wasted any more than what it would see in respect of the extradition treaty being violated, and it will send Dr. Nandipha Magudumana a free woman. Now, of course, when she's sent free and she's in South Africa, she's not going to live a life in limbo. Something needs to happen. And if the South African police goes and arrest her on the basis of what? How did you bring her here to South Africa for South Africa to actually now start doing the right thing? That's the point here. So this is going to be very interesting going forward. I am so livid. At the same time, I'm intrigued. At the same time, I feel mocked as a taxpayer because our government continues to blunder whenever they're not supposed to blunder. And at the same time, it makes one wonder, was this not by design to protect Dr. Nandipha Magudumana and Thabo Bester from going behind bars? And if they're not going to go behind bars, guess what? The secret is kept quiet as to who the big fish are. Right? You know, guys, it's just me and my two IQs. I'm just rubbing them together here. I'm not saying any of this is true. I'm just thinking. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, we've been played here. Oh, we've been played. And the third thing that I also noted when the Minister of Police as well as the Minister of Home Affairs lawyers stood up, nowhere in their argument they mentioned the fact that extradition processes were indeed violated by South Africa when it brought Dr. Nandipha Magudumana and Thabo Bester back to South Africa. Let's talk about Dr. Nandipha Magudumana because the application is by Dr. Nandipha Magudumana, not by Thabo Bester. But they were brought to South Africa without following extradition treaty processes that are there in place. You can't argue that. That's the law that South Africa signed. I think it's the Roman Statute or something like that. Or the Geneva or Vienna. One of those European countries' treaties that we signed. So there is no way that you're just going to overlook that and think, we will deal with that when we cross that bridge. No, deal with it here. How did you get an accused person from Tanzania to South? As a matter of fact, which is kind of like correct, when I heard it from Advocate Kessler that Dr. Nandipha Magudumana was not an accused when she was arrested in Tanzania. Now let that sink in. She was an ordinary South African citizen that was being brought back to South Africa. And as a matter of fact, even the police themselves said they did not go there to arrest her because they don't have powers to arrest a South African citizen in another country. That we're violating that country's sovereignty. My goodness, this is a mess. So I don't know what you guys think about this entire process, but let me prepare you. Dr. Nandipha Magudumana is going to be a free woman. And I don't think that whatever she's accused of now is going to be reinstated if ever she gets arrested. It's going to have to be a case that is totally different. Like totally different charges that are not related to this matter, because if they are related to this matter, then it is double jeopardy. Check it out. You can Google what double jeopardy means and kind of like add some little knowledge to yourself, and you will understand what I'm trying to say. Yes, I may have some people who are going to disagree with me. Fine, I don't mind. And I also have some people who want to educate me about what might happen. I welcome that too. But I foresee what I foresee, and thus far, everything that I've foreseen has come to fruition. This one is also going to come to fruition. Anyways, the judgment is reserved until the 18th of July, 2023. That is just 4 days from now. That is, I think next week, Thursday or something like that. That is when we're going to hear, no, man, come on, wait. Yeah, next week, Thursday, because weekends, it's not working days. We are going to hear the judgment, and the judgment is either Dr. Nandipha Magudumana will be granted leave to appeal to the Supreme Court of Appeal, or the judge is just going to decide not to waste the Supreme Court of Appeal's time by just ruling and saying, listen, South Africa, you did not follow extradition treaty agreements or processes when you brought these people back. Secondly, consent. The court will now set aside its own judgment regarding consent as to why it denied Dr. Nandipha Magudumana's application the first time around. Of course, the only people I believe that are going to go to the Supreme Court of Appeal and appeal the judgment of Bloemfontein is going to be the Minister of Police, the Minister of Home Affairs, and all those others. I doubt they are going to do it because they're already embarrassed. I'm not quite sure what they're going to argue at the SCA if they go and appeal their loss. But I will not put it past them going to appeal at the SCA. Anyways, guys, those are my thoughts regarding what transpired at the Bloemfontein High Court today. And by the way, this spoon that you guys are seeing, I'm serving you latest news. Okay, I'm just being silly. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I was just being silly. Anyways, guys, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like the video, give it a thumbs up. Anyways, also subscribe to my channel if you have not subscribed yet, and click the bell notification so you get notified every time I upload a new video. Don't forget to leave me a comment down below and let me know, how do you feel? What did you think of Dr. Nandipha Magudumana's lawyer? Because I thought that guy was excellent. Advocate Kasla Peron-Munsami, wonderful. I think you're the type of lawyer I would hire. Definitely. It reminds me of Katz. Katz was also excellent. But anyways, guys, do watch the ads. I highly appreciate it. For my birthday, I've made 1,100 Rand because of you people. Wonderful, amazing people that kind of love me. And I didn't know y'all love me this much. Oh my God, thank you for all the birthday messages and the money you guys are sending me. I'm breathless at this point in time. $15, 500 Rand, as well as 300 Rand and another 300 Rand that I got today. Thank you guys so much. Y'all are the best. So thanks for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.